This is Life Lessons Lounge, and I am Igina Gerazi. Here, we explore diverse life stories and the wisdom they hold. Let's delve into the stories that shape us, teach us, and connect us all. In this heartwarming episode, we reconnect with Agnieszka from the first episode of this podcast, who has recently embraced a new chapter in her life, becoming Mrs. Martínez and also launching her own coaching business after 15 years in the corporate world. She shares her journey of leaving behind a stable job to follow her calling of deeper service, navigating the ups and downs of entrepreneurship, and the importance of movement, breath, and community to stay balanced. We dive into how she sees coaching as an evolving practice aligned with her values and how she learned to embrace her own rhythms of change, trusting the process rather than rushing through decisions. Agnieszka beautifully reflects on the fears and challenges of change, especially the fear of the unknown, and offers gentle advice on celebrating transitions, asking for help, and reconnecting with joy. Hope you enjoy this one as much as we did. Well, first, I'm so excited that you're here.
And I'm excited too.
And there are huge congratulations to be said. Before last time, you were a guest on the podcast.
Thank you.
So first of all, congratulations for being married to David. You remember, everyone, the first episode was with and David on their love story. Like, if you haven't watched it, just go watch it. It's a beautiful love story. Congratulations for that.
Thank you, Megan. It's such a pleasure to be here again, now in a different entity. Now I'm Mrs. Martínez at the end. So I had my husband's surname, one part, also symbolically to mark that. So thank you so much.
Yes, beautiful. And also, congratulations for venturing out on your own as an entrepreneur. And now you're a certified coach and have your own company, and you left behind 15 years of corporate life.
Yeah.
So kudos to you. It takes a lot of courage.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And you are a godmother of that decision as well. So thank you, my coach and friend. And you were part of that process. So yes, indeed, it took a lot of courage and also time.
And I'm curious if we start a little bit from that. What was the calling, the drive to make such a huge change?
Yeah, I'm breathing in because it's like, oh, a lot has happened. I stepped out from my corporate job in a big pharma company where I was working in various roles and in different countries for 15 years. And calling, as you call it, last year. And it was something that took me time to realize that I want to do it because I felt really well in my job in the corporate. It was a nice environment. My last role here in German, it was people development partner. I was serving also as internal coach. So one can say, well, why at all you need to change, right? I mean, you have good job, people are super nice, you are serving with your talents. But I felt like there is something bigger. There is more, even more impact that I want to feel in my life. And I guess the biggest calling and something that is with me from, I would say, ever, is that service for others. So really using what I can offer with my, as I said, gifts, with my competencies, skills to other people, they can make their life as they wish, more satisfying, more fulfilling, whatever, wherever they are in their path. So that was the main motivation. So feeling that I want to live my life on my rules.
Amazing. And how do you feel right now with that choice?
First, what came was because obviously, and you know the best as well, like when you when you do such a big shift, it's also you are leaving something behind, and you are facing a lot of new things, right? That not used to so far. So obviously, it's like dropping the old identity to build a new one, and it takes time. And you have days where it's like, wow, that's so cool, and things are happening and moving in the way I want. And then you have those days you feel like, oh my god, no, why did I do that? Because it comes also, being an entrepreneur comes also with a different way of working, right? So now I'm a CEO, I'm an IT, I'm a finance. I like some things I can delegate, but I still
Marketing, sales, everything.
yeah, it's like one man show at the moment.
Yeah.
But of course, of being in that format, that I search also for the circles of peers with whom I can exchange the knowledge, the also pains, and download my right, all that what's happening. So I sometimes work from the co-working space, also to meet people from different industries, and have also this type of connection. Change simply also the environment I work in. I work a lot from home, as I work with people from across the globe. So many activities are online, but also live. I love live face-to-face connection the most, and that's what gives me truly energy. So I'm searching for those communities and building also my communities where I can, and that's working very well. It's really uplifting when you feel not alone.
I'm curious when you talk, of course, we all have the ups and downs, especially when you're an entrepreneur. And for me, it's mostly because sometimes I feel the loneliness. As you said, you do it with the communities. I miss colleagues, I miss peers to
Yes.
brainstorm ideas, to just share things and stuff. How do you, like, what practices do you have to manage the lows? Right? Like, what brings again?
So in my case, and I know that it's true also for many people or those people I work with, that when there are lows, then I forget to take care of myself. It's like I drop my yoga practice, I drop my dancing, meditation, like things that really give me joy, and also like regulate my nervous system, because that's also about that, right? We can change the way we feel, first of all, by being with that. That was my biggest learning throughout my path. And second of all, by trying to really find those ways to recharge yourself. So that's to reconnect to really what gives you that energy and joy, and to bring back that aliveness in you. So me, I have like a different reminders, like even physical reminders. So for example, I have it here even always with me on my desk or on my hand, my bracelet. So that's like remember about myself. You know?
Well,
So that's something also that coaching brought me to, like finding those tools, simple, really simple things that can reconnect you to what you really enjoy, and in that way change that state of low into a bit higher vibration that allows you to come back to your true essence. And for me, movement, breath, like dancing, yoga, these are the practices that always take me back to, okay.
that's beautiful. I'm curious, the match with coaching, not how did it happen, but it's like, how is this a perfect match for you? I'm curious also for people that are trying to go into a new profession, and it is this marriage with a new profession. Like, how did you know that it was the right one with coaching? How did you feel it?
Yes, and it's a beautiful metaphor you use about the marriage and the perfect match, because I believe there is not really something like a perfect match. And in my case, I was changing my career path like radically a couple of uh, and I feel like every time I changed, I was falling in love in that new path, right? And every time I felt this is the right one, because it was true. It was like, I was fully engaged. I was giving all my passion to that. And as long as it feels like that, like I'm there. I'm showing up 100%. And the difference maybe I feel in those moments when there is the shift and I choose something, is that, again, there is that aliveness, there is that feeling of doing something meaningful, doing something that is aligned with my values, that is aligned with my true essence, who I am. And for me, it's I guess the process that is for life. So it's never ending. Now I chose coaching as my profession, but it's expanding. Like I certified in coactive coaching. I did also the organizational relationship systemic coaching, also somatic yoga, yoga kundalini, breath work, like different forms of self-discovery, self-development, simply to reconnect to what I really want. Like this was for me the question, and you supported me in that process as well, right? And it took time. So unfolding that and giving time actually helps, instead of compulsively taking decision, like because something happened, something challenging happened, and then I'm like, nope, I'm done. And it may happen as well for people, right? But I truly believe that it's part of each and every person path. For me, it was more coming from a conscious choice and unfolding as I was growing, as I was expanding my being. Then it was like in the collective coaching, right? First being, then combine it with doing, and when it's aligned, it feels just right. So I guess for me, it's happening in terms of perfect match with coaching. If it's a perfect match, the time will show. For now, it feels like that. And working with my coaches, they bring back that feedback that actually it for them. So that's for me the best testimonial.
That's beautiful. I definitely can relate to, because I've also changed like 3 careers so far, and every time it feels great. That's the one. But things change.
Yeah.
And I think the topic here also, how do you deal with changes? As you said, like for you, it's a conscious choice.
Yeah.
And that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Of the awareness, right? Like you having the awareness to see this is what I want to do. And it takes the time it takes. And I'm committed to that path, which is beautiful.
Yes, because I feel like there is something shifting, right? In I'm telling obviously about myself because everyone experiences differently, but there are also some patterns, commonalities that we share in change, in transformation. I feel like there is something shifting. You feel that if you are connected also to yourself, to your body, because many times it happens here in the head. I was so much in my head and it was like everything has to be so logical, analytical, and decision has to be taken from all the elements I collected, and then it's good decision. And with that, first of all, when I moved following my heart, my love, and then moving out from corporate job to being a professional coach, it totally came from the whole system.
Mm.
It was, of course, there are practicalities to handle with everything, right? So it's not like, oh, we are levitating here. We are still on the planet Earth. However, it came from like connection to my whole system. And that felt really good. So for me, that's also very important to check in. And unfortunately, we live also in the world where emotions are not always, and more promoted and appreciated is that logic and analysis. And then there is unfortunately a lot of paralysis. So sometimes we don't know why there is disease, why we feel burnout or grill out, the opposite. And actually it's because we have those mechanisms of survival and to life, we go, in my case, it was freeze mode. So I just cut everything so that I don't feel neither pain, but then I don't feel other beautiful things, right? So that's what I observe a lot. And I would love that also in the corporate there is more openness to learn how to manage, how to be with different emotions. And it's not to, like, yeah, we cry at every meeting situation. It would be difficult to work with.
That's what I was going to ask as well. It's like you say to be with emotions, right? And we as coaches, we know what it
Yeah.
means. How would you explain it to people who have it, who find it a hard time to be with emotions? Like, what would that process look like?
Well, it's a process, as you said, right? So it doesn't happen when you are. I'm using a lot this metaphor of a gym. When you are practicing your muscle for so long to cut yourself from where your sadness, right? Recent one of my clients, when I asked him, so where is the sadness? He says, in my head. And it was from me like, I always come with curiosity, right? Not judgment. But it's interesting to hear that so much on our head. And it's, I'm saying as well, like, thank you, head, because we need it. It's working beautifully for us otherwise. But I feel like through movement, for me, that was the way. So I to Copenhagen, I discovered five rhythms dance. It's a very beautiful way of connecting to your full body. But it may be some other thing for every person has different preferences. It might be any type of sport you practice, or simply walking in the nature. Just finding your way that really starts to, yeah, with simply even the touch, I would say. So starting with small acts of kindness to yourself, and then it comes. It's like also when we pressure, and we put too much pressure, and there is of course then resistance, right? So finding your own way, so like finding help, finding support circles, be it your friend, your family, depends on your situation, or professional help as well, right? So that's something I would probably suggest if someone would be willing to receive the suggestion.
That's beautiful. And I would say, you said, right, if we're in meetings and it's not about everybody starting crying and sharing emotions, how would an easeful transition be in corporate world, right, for people to start showing their emotions?
I can tell you a very nice example from my experience from the corporate. I had fantastic leader in the role. Best regards, Stephanie. I really appreciated working with her, and actually, it was difficult decision also with connection. And we were having team meetings, and we were simply checking in. And for every team meeting, there was like 5 minutes, and we were rotating with the check in. And we were simply, having a different ways of checking in. What's present now? And you have that even 5 minutes, but if it's irregularly, again, practicing that muscle of opening in the safe space as well, right? So if you don't have that in your community, in your circle, in your team, it's very difficult to connect to your emotions because you don't have safe space to do that. So there has to be, of course, environment that is allowing you to bring it. So that's for me the first thing. And then you can also suggest that. So if that's not happening, maybe trying things, and then a little bit suggesting, being a bit of the change you want to see.
Yeah.
So that's also like taking responsibility for what you want is very important. So I guess in the corporate setup, that's something I would see more of. And then for me, for the individuals, it's like how you manage your emotions so that it serves you, so that you use them, they don't use you, right? So it's really catching yourself, observing yourself. Journaling helped me a lot. and noticing. And if you have partners, husbands, wives, children, they are beautiful mirror. Like whenever you are triggered, there is an information for you that something has to be worked on. So noticing that, and trying to observe also what happens to your body. I have a lot of like stuck emotions here, for example, in my throat or my gut. Like we don't have our only mind brain, right? So there is also heart and gut and the whole body that is speaking to us, but sometimes we are not open to listen. So that's the challenge.
Thank you for sharing that. And I think, well, kudos to Stephanie, because she seems like she's quite an aware leader
Yeah.
to creating such a space,
Yes,
right?
totally.
And I think it takes that leader to create the space, but also to open up and to be an example of how do we deal with emotions and emotions that are welcomed here as well.
Totally. I work with leaders, change makers, people who really want to do something either about it can be both professional life, but also personal life, and change patterns, behaviors they want in their life. And I feel especially leaders, they have such an impact, right? So it's not only the direct team impacting, if we are talking corporate life, but any other leader of the group of people. It has a ripple effect on the families of those people, friends of those people, and it's like a chain, right? So as much as leadership role is beautiful, because there is a lot to make a difference, right, in this world. It's also a responsibility, and it has to be done again more awareness about how that impact may go. So I feel that's really something leaders may consider in their development and how they build their teams.
That's beautiful. And you're working with leaders and change makers in your In Harmony coaching. It's lovely. What have you noticed? What are some of the fears and the obstacles that people face when it comes to change?
That's a big one.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, again, every individual experiences change slightly different, and also depends on the whether the change is a desired change. There is for that. Like I wanted to get married, and of course it's a change, right? But it's like with a lot of
Beautiful.
excitement and anticipation, and also with a lot of preparations. If you are doing a wedding party, you know what I'm speaking about. Especially if you live in another country and you do it in another country and your husband is from another country. It's like a lot to manage. So it's a joyful desired change, right? And still it takes energy and effort and handle. So as much as there is no resistance to that, there is a lot of details to handle, and there may be a little bit of overwhelm as well, because it is a big thing, right? At least for me it was felt like that. So I would say it depends also on the nature of change, whether it's like desired, whether the change is more coming to end because of, if we are talking about business, organizational changes that I experienced, change in leadership right now recently, also huge change, and it's unexpected, right? So it comes to you, and then you have to handle in a way the effects of that. So that I feel and the magnitude of change, because I feel like the changes are occurring every day. So I wake up and here we go, I wake up in a different mood. How to navigate? Or there are really like changes, entity, like really at the level of your values even, right? And that type of change. So I would say depends on the nature of change, and also depends on the phase where the given person is, what kind of already tools the person has to navigate that change. Because at some point I felt in my life that actually creating change. Maybe I even love it. You know, it's a weird feeling to realize that. But I find it very true in my life. And if I recall even myself from the childhood, that was also very visible. Like, we were living with my parents first in a small and then in bigger apartments. So first I was changing the decor in the shelves, and then I was changing all the time the furniture positions in my room. So that was already like, something in my system has this kind of, I want novelty.
I have that too.
Yeah.
And I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I feel like for me, change is such a natural process that was coming also from my big interest into how do I navigate that so that it doesn't feel for me, it doesn't feel for me like, and simply how to do it with more balance. Because in my life, changes were coming in groups always. So, like last year, just full of different changes, small, big ones. So for me, it's more the harmony, and I called also not without a reason my business in harmony, because I
Yeah.
felt this is what I would love, but in fact there is a lot of chaos, even though you don't see it. Like when you meet me, like you don't feel that I'm a person coming from chaos, but I can assure you I do. There is a lot of inner thing happening, even if on the surface it's not so visible. So I feel like that skill of how to navigate that chaos so that it feels more in harmony, and then you define what harmony means for you, what balance means, what is at the other side that you have to be with and accept and completely surrender. That's very hard one. um, that's for me then the fears and obstacles that you were asking about, right? So for me, the fear of unknown was one of the biggest one, and that's, yeah, and it's absolutely all its natural actions. It's that lack of safety that we may feel when the changes are coming, especially if we are not involved in creating that change. This is something that we bringing to our life. It's like life is just bringing it for us. I'm not even saying to us, because I believe that this is also. However, it comes with that feeling a bit lost, maybe confused, like, oh, how will that new look like? So I knew the previous situation, but now I'm stepping. I don't know. I don't maybe even want. So how to accept that? So resistance be natural, and in any of the different methodologies how to manage change, right? There is first of all that awareness. Okay, I'm now in this situation. Here is what's happening. So how do I choose? What is my next step in that? What's in it for me? So I feel like those fears come very much from the fear of unknown, or for leaders many times also the fear of failure. So if I'm implementing a change, if we talk about professional life, and it's impacting many people, it's also that, oh, what if not that's not the outcome is not how I wished for, because of course there are so many factors that also you cannot predict all of them, and scenarios that are possible. So then I feel like that responsibility that leaders feel for other people, that's also very present. And yeah, I think those are strong. There is plenty of reactions, right? But I feel those two are the strongest.
Beautiful. And how do you get to that conscious choice? You started a little bit mentioning it, right? So how do you get to that?
And I'm also, when you said now the conscious choice, how conscious is conscious, right? To what level of consciousness we arrive, so that the because if I remember myself from some years ago, I feel like my choices were very compulsive. It was more like life was happening, and then I was just kind of receiving it and going with. and then I was suffering as well, and my body response were shutting down. So that didn't feel me, and it took a lot of time and a lot of different experiences for me to discover more of that awareness or self-consciousness, but also being conscious how my being is impacting others, because I feel like we are all the time in some relationship, be it with ourselves but also with others, right? So how my way of being is impacting others is for me very important, and being conscious also about that and about the broader environment I live in. So I feel also that my way of living with traveling and living in different countries built for me that awareness of I'm, not an island and I'm connected, and connectedness also is so important for me. But it took me years of self-discovery to really, first of all, unfold what are my true values, what are the patterns I'm entering in, and what are the behaviors I don't want anymore in my life because they are not about me. They are, those kind of taken or attached from experiences, toxic relationships, and yeah, not necessarily I appreciate, but they are again part of my path. So I'm kind of taking the backpack and moving on in a more way, let's say, through life. And even if, of course, I'm a human being, so I have those behaviors that I'm like, so
Of course.
yeah, and I guess they will stay. They will evolve for sure. It took connection and process. So some years actually of deep work. So it didn't happen overnight. And maybe for some
Mm.
people it does happen overnight. I'm sharing experience. A very traumatic event may also completely shift things, right? So yeah, approach to how we experience life, and that consciousness is also a bit of collective consciousness. Like nowadays we live in, like in our world at least, in a bit of luxury situation. Even conflicts and war is around the corner, but we are a bit like observing it as well from a bit of distance, unless you are really connected to people who are very affected. So I feel like there is some collective field. I also attended this European Mental Health Week and events, and speakers brought a beautiful meditation asking, "What's your emotional landscape?" And it was so, simple and powerful at the same time, because it's like for you, but also like if we see it broader, what's the emotional landscape of nowadays where we live, planet Earth, wherever we live? It's really also, how to say, I wanted to say difficult, but I don't want to put that heaviness. It's more like very interesting times we live in, and again, navigating that broader picture is also something to be aware of, because it's
Mm.
impacting us as well.
It is. And as an empath, I also find it, well, you don't want to mention the word difficult, but I do find it quite heavy
Yeah.
to actually to navigate that, to hold everything. And sometimes as a protection mechanism is to actually block it, because it is quite heavy, everything that's happening. So I tend to, yeah, well, I tend to hold it and then not hold it and be in between and then take care of myself. And then when I have the energy, I can do something outside. So it is interesting to navigate both, as you say, and to navigate all that.
Yes, you are right. I was a bit resistant to name it like that, not to give that perspective, but it's one of, right, that it's heavy, and that's what many people feel. And again, as I'm belief, let's call it belief, that serves me, that everything happens for a reason and in the right time. And apparently that has to happen. Like there is a lot of collective trauma we are in. So that has to shift somehow. And unfortunately it's shifting very painful. And I guess that comes back also to the change, right? The change many times has that, and we feel that heaviness. And the more we have that consciousness and tools how to navigate that, the more ease rather than dis-ease is present for us and for others. So I think it's again the muscle we need to practice.
Yeah. And I'm going to go a little bit into what advice would you give for people that are going through changes so that they can go through this change with ease.
No, it's a funny thing I want to say, because the first thing came like open champagne.
I know.
Or whatever drink you like, because
But then it's going to be a drunk life. Every day there is a change.
exactly. So without alcohol as well. Like I know it may be completely awkward, but celebrate that moment, because in that moment something is shifting, something new is coming, something is unfolding for you. So as much as it may feel heavy sometimes, it's also giving to it a chance and see from different perspective. It's also a beautiful coaching tool, just seeing things from different perspectives. Like if you see that change as, I don't know, Venus in the Louvre, right, the sculpture, and you
Yes.
go around and see that from different lenses, it actually helps a lot. So I would say a lot of regulation of your nervous system. So find your inner brains and do those things that give you joy when you are going through. And yeah, ask for help. I was not very good in that.
That's huge. That's huge.
I had to learn. I was good in giving but not in receiving, and so I feel deep gratitude. Once she said, yeah, it's important to give but also to receive with grace. It's a skill. So I had to learn how to do that. Because yeah, sometimes we feel lonely or alone situation, but in fact we are not. So it's good to remind ourselves in those moments that there is a circle of people, or at least one person that you can ask for help. Yeah, I would say.
Oh, these are so powerful. Definitely. Definitely. And what are you working on now?
Yeah. Well, thank you for that question. It's like there are so many things now. Of course, I'm working with individual clients, but also I'm trying some new formats. So I'm collaborating also with co-working spaces where I sometimes go and try to open up for group coaching. And I have already different ones that I tried and I love, especially the art of change, nation of art. In that case, it was music, right, with local artist Amy, and I co-create and coaching, so blending art and coaching, and it felt really really good. So I feel I would love to continue that format as well. And then every 2 months I have a free online event as well. Now on 5th of June I hold for people masterful leadership circle, because leaders, change makers, people who are interested in how to lead change with more ease are joining, and we are inspiring. There is a coaching possibility of coaching, so it's the space that I hold every 2 months.
It's a beautiful space. I've been part of that, and it's really, I would recommend everyone to join it.
Thank you, dear.
Anything else, Aga, that I haven't asked you here that you would like to add?
I feel like with you it's always going deep, so thank you. And, for me, if we are reconnecting to that topic of change and transition, um, I would love to see people more open also to connect to their emotions. I feel, well, for me and for my coaches, it was such an important. So I feel that's something I would like to see more of around us, and being more for each other, supporting each other, collaborating rather than competing. Yeah, I think reconnecting to the nature, importance of movement, those things served me a lot, served a lot of people through transition and change in life, that these were important. So I would love to continue doing that. And yeah, that's where I am now.
And you do it so naturally and with the joy, and it feels like really the drive that is there and the love that is for what you're doing. And that's beautiful
Thank you
because
so much.
people can see through that. Thank you for doing everything that you're doing and for who you are, of course.
Thank you, inspiration. You actually introduced me to the collective coaching, so I will be grateful till the end of my days.
Oh, thank you. I'm happy. I'm happy. And I'm also happy, very happy that you're here to share this part of your life,
Yeah,
which I think is super, super inspiring and very courageous as well. I mean, for me, what is inspiring is the level of consciousness and the level of connection that you have with yourself and with also, the things that you do and the clear why, very clear why, and very clear drive, what is there for you. Thank you.
thank you again. Much love.
Thank you for being with us in the Life's Lessons Lounge. Remember, every story has its wisdom. Join us next time for more insights and inspiration. Until then, keep learning, keep growing, and keep sharing your own story.